you guys might know who Katie Halper is. She is a writer. She's a very talented writer, and she was a big supporter of Bernie Sanders in the campaign, as many writers were. She's a feminist, a dear friend of mine. She was on Twitter yesterday, and I saw a little exchange between her and a woman named Carmen Rios, who is an editor at Ms. Magazine, you know, the famous Ms. Magazine that Gloria Steinem founded. I have subscribed to Ms. Magazine, I think, since I was 15 years old, so this really struck me. If you recall, Gloria Steinem endorsed Hillary Clinton, and she had made some controversial comments last year around January about women who were supporting Bernie Sanders. Let's play that clip real quick.
Kind of not fair to measure most women by the standard of most men, because they're going to get more activist as they grow older. And when you're young, you're thinking, you know, where are the boys? The boys are with Bernie, or you know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's a little condescending to women, I think.
It's a little condescending. I think we dealt with it well, because it was around the time when Madeleine Albright said there's a special place in hell for women who don't support other women. Does that include Michelle Bachmann? And yeah, pretty much.
Jill Stein, does that include Jill Stein?
Jill Stein. I didn't support her, but don't shame me. So 30 years before that, or 40 years before that, Gloria Steinem was saying this about Bernie Sanders.
Actually, I'm only here today to make Bernie Sanders an honorary woman.
Okay, that was not 40 years, that was 1996 time. So why is this relevant? Well, one of the editors of Ms. Magazine today, Carmen Rios, tweeted out some controversial comments. Let's post those. And this was yesterday, she continued. Rejoice, for one day Bernie Sanders will retire or die. So that was on the 7th. But then on the 20th, she says, gonna build a monument for all the women who are right and erect it on top of Bernie Sanders' grave.
What the F? What is that about?
I don't know. There are some people who are still so devoted to this Bernie bro meme. Even if they're not using that phrase anymore, they still want to kind of portray Bernie Sanders as having unique appeal among these kind of oblivious males who get undue attention in society. And that's just basically the angle that they're pushing in terms of how to analyze the Bernie movement. And it just, I don't know, it's just getting tiresome at this point.
Well, it's worse than tiresome, right? Because this kind of behavior is actually destructive. It's coming, if this was just a person, you could ignore it, but she actually is from Ms. Magazine.
Right.
And she actually runs the Ms. Magazine Twitter account, and which is why tweeting at Ms. Magazine about this doesn't do any good, which is what I found out from you, right?
No, I learned that, I found that out accidentally. I found it out from Twitter.
So this is way worse, because just again, in the article, she makes the point, imagine it being the other way. It's just like, I just don't understand the Democrats or the people who can think they're on the left who are still fighting the primary. Your candidate won the primary. Your candidate beat Bernie Sanders. So that's over. She lost to Donald Trump. But you're not angry at Donald Trump. You're still angry about the primary. That is the craziest thing. And by the way, it's May, and she was tweeting that in April. That's 6 months after the election. Could you imagine in 1989, people still pissed off about Michael Dukakis's primary? What the fuck? That is just, your guy, just unhinged, crazy bullshit, but it's okay when it's done. So that's why people, when you call people sexist, and it doesn't mean anything anymore when you call Trump a sexist, because you call somebody like Bernie a sexist, and you call them Bernie bros, and it's all made up, and it's all bullshit because you're empty inside, and it's all identity politics, and it's nothing real, and people see through you. By the way, you and your brilliant side lost to Donnie Tanahan's Trump.
The speculation on that is that she was exposed in the primaries by someone who was smart enough to go behind, which I don't think Trump would have had the intelligence to go behind her big issues, the problems that she really had, and that was Bernie Sanders. And then after she still triumphantly beat him, then Donald Trump had an angle. But Donald Trump didn't take that angle. He was saying the same thing the whole time when he beat all the 19 Republicans and then continued on into the normal party election. They felt she'd got damaged by someone who was smart enough to damage her, which they felt were with nefarious tactics. There were stabbing in the back, underhanded things to do to her, and then she was too damaged at that point to beat him.
Well, you know what I think?
This makes no sense. Let me go ahead and continue to say that.
Let's not undercount that, this is, nobody should wish death upon any lawmaker, especially an editor for Ms. Magazine. But in Katie's piece, she does say, the problem is when an editor expresses joy at someone's eventual death and fantasizes about building a monument, not an homage, on top of the grave. Then this happens to be a sitting senator who ran across the country, campaigning harder for Hillary Clinton than any other single human being besides Bill Clinton is irrelevant but poignant. Then she goes on to say, allow me to address the inevitable responses that my statements will provoke. And I think this is really relevant. People wish for Clinton's death all the time. Absolutely true. Yes, they do. They are randos on the internet and not editors of major publications.
Yes.
But rejoicing at Hillary's death would be misogynistic and representative of violence and a harassment that women face more than men and that Clinton faced more than Sanders, which is true. But with that being said, this is in my opinion, and as a feminist, when I would counter my lovely friends who didn't speak to me for 2 years on the campaign trail, I'd say to them, when you accept Wall Street money, you are basically siding with the side that's fighting against equal pay. They're the ones who are literally building the tax code so that women of color across this country are hurt the most. They're the ones who are going against unions, who of course represent women and women of color the most. So don't tell me you're a feminist when it comes to just white feminism and not economics. The only person in that race who was fighting for those issues was Bernie Sanders. And so I countered her by saying economics is the unifier. And you are now continuing to separate communities, including the Bernie community, which is a little bit split here. And I think if you agree with us on this, you should have Katie Halper's back, because she's getting attacked on the internet right now like crazy because she defended Bernie Sanders from basically death threats.
Yes.
Why is that bad? That's crazy.
On the one hand, I think there's something to mocking somebody like Carmen Rios for still being so fixated on the primary campaign last year. But on the other hand, the 2016 election overall represented such a profound reconfiguration of American politics and sort of shifted the terms of, the intra-party divisions in both parties, that it's not surprising to me that people would still be pretty enmeshed in those debates, even now, 6+ months after the election. Because they sort of define how American politics is now ordered. So while this is what she said there is sort of petulant and idiotic, but at the same time, I think we should embrace the fact that our politics are in flux, right. And that was catalyzed by the tumultuous election last year.
Can you imagine if Cenk had said that, or if Anna had said that, or Jake Tapper had said that? I think the question is, what is Ms. Magazine going to do? Are they at least going to issue a statement? Are they going to do anything about this? Because that tweet is still up there, and now Carmen Rios is complaining that she had to shut down her account because she was getting so many attacks. Well, guess what? You're an editor.
He's tweeted out a death fantasy of a politician who's the most popular politician in the goddamn country, and you didn't realize that there would be ramifications of that, and somehow it's the people who are upset at your bullshit behavior. It's their fault you had to shut down your Twitter account. No, again, another Clintonite who can't take responsibility for their rock bottom shit behavior.
Podcast The Young Turks anytime you want. TYTnetwork.com/join.
I think it's weird.
No, it's not weird. In fact, you'll think,
I'm like a smart person.
Do it now. TYTnetwork.com/join.